Welcome to The Perfect Marriage Illusion, True Story of a Cheating Wife. If you've ever looked at a couple and thought they had it all, the house, the smiles, the life, this story will make you question everything. It's a tale of love that looks flawless from the outside but is rotting from the inside out. Based on the twists of real life, with betrayal, passion, and the kind of emotional chaos that keeps you up at night. Grab your headphones, dim the lights, and let's dive in. This is going to be intense. In the heart of Willow Creek, a suburb where every house looked like it belonged in a magazine, lived Sarah and John Ellis. They were the couple everyone envied. Sarah, 35, with her auburn hair that fell in soft waves and green eyes that sparkled like polished jade, was a high-powered marketing executive. Her days were filled with boardrooms and brainstorming sessions, her nights with the comfort of a home that screamed success. John, 38, was an architect whose designs turned dreams into steel and glass. Tall, with broad shoulders and a smile that could light up a room, he was the steady rock in their seemingly perfect world. Their home was a two-story haven of white shutters and blooming gardens, where the scent of fresh-cut grass mingled with the aroma of Sarah's lavender candles. Neighbors would wave as they saw the Elises jogging together in the mornings, Bailey, their golden retriever, bounding ahead, his golden fur glinting in the sun. "They're so in sync," people would say. The perfect marriage. But perfection is an illusion, a fragile mask that hides the cracks beneath. It all began on a crisp April morning in 2024. Sarah arrived at Apex Marketing's sleek office tower, the glass facade reflecting the blue sky like a mirror. The air inside was buzzing with the click of keyboards and the murmur of creative minds. That day, the company introduced Marcus Kane, a 32-year-old consultant from Chicago, brought in to revolutionize their digital campaigns. Marcus was the kind of man who turned heads, dark hair tousled just right, a jawline sharp as a blade, and hazel eyes that seemed to see right through you. His body was sculpted from hours at the gym, and his confidence filled the room like a magnetic force. "Sarah Ellis? I'm Marcus. I've read your reports. Impressive stuff," he said, shaking her hand. His grip was firm, warm, sending an unexpected tingle up her arm. "Likewise. Welcome to the team," she replied, her voice steady, but her heart skipping a beat. Just a new colleague, she told herself. Nothing more. The meeting dragged on, filled with charts and strategies, the room smelling of fresh coffee and marker ink. But Sarah couldn't focus. Marcus's ideas were bold, his voice a deep baritone that commanded attention. He challenged her points with a playful grin, making her laugh in a way she hadn't in months. By lunch, as the team dispersed, he caught her in the hallway. "Hey, want to grab a bite? I could use some insider tips on this city," he suggested, his cologne, a spicy blend of sandalwood and citrus, wafting toward her. Sarah glanced at her wedding ring, the diamond catching the light. John was at a site visit, probably sketching blueprints with that focused look he always had. "It's just lunch," she thought. "Sure. There's a great deli across the street." Over sandwiches piled high with roast beef and the crunch of fresh lettuce, they talked. Marcus shared stories of his adventures, skydiving in New Zealand, hiking the Appalachian Trail, his words painting vivid pictures that made Sarah's life feel mundane. John was wonderful, but their routine had become predictable: work, dinner, TV, bed. No sparks, no surprises. As she drove home that evening, the radio playing a soft love ballad, Sarah's mind replayed the conversation. "He's just charming. Harmless." But a small voice whispered, "You felt alive." At home, John had dinner ready, pasta Alfredo, the garlic scent filling the kitchen. He kissed her cheek, his lips familiar and comforting. "How was the new guy?" "Sharp. He'll shake things up," she said, forcing a smile. That night, as they lay in bed, the sheets soft against her skin, John's hand slid over her waist. They made love, gentle and routine, his touches predictable. Sarah closed her eyes, but her thoughts drifted to Marcus's grin. Guilt flickered, but it was fleeting. The next days blurred into a rhythm of collaboration. Marcus and Sarah worked late, their desks lit by desk lamps as the office emptied. One evening, with the city lights twinkling outside like distant stars, he leaned close over a spreadsheet. "You're brilliant, Sarah." "John is a lucky man," he said, his breath warm on her ear. She blushed, her heart racing. "Stop this," her mind screamed. But her body betrayed her, leaning in. Their first kiss happened a week later, in the parking garage after a long day. Rain poured outside, drumming on the concrete like a heartbeat. Marcus pulled her into his arms, his lips crashing onto hers with hunger. The taste of him, mint and desire, ignited something deep. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as the kiss deepened, tongues dancing in a frenzy. "We shouldn't," she gasped, pulling back. "But we are," he murmured, kissing her neck, sending shivers down her spine. They didn't go further that night, but the seed was planted. Sarah's internal world became a storm. "John loves me. We have a life together." But Marcus was excitement, an escape from the monotony. John, oblivious, planned a surprise date, a picnic in the park, with cheese, wine, and the rustle of leaves overhead. To us, he toasted, his eyes full of love. Sarah smiled, but her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, "Thinking of you." The guilt gnawed, but the thrill won. As spring gave way to summer's warmth, Sarah's double life intensified. Mornings with John were normal, coffee brewing, its rich aroma filling the kitchen, Bailey wagging his tail for walks. But afternoons belonged to Marcus. They found moments everywhere. A quick lunch turned into a stolen kiss in an alley, his hands roaming under her blouse, fingers teasing her nipples until they hardened, her breaths coming in short gasps. "Marcus, someone might see," she whispered, but the risk only heightened the heat. One afternoon, in the office supply closet, surrounded by stacks of paper and the scent of ink, they crossed the line. Marcus pressed her against the door, his mouth on hers, hands hiking up her skirt. His fingers slid into her panties, finding her wet and ready. "God, Sarah," he groaned, stroking her clit with expert precision, circles that made her knees buckle. She bit her lip to stifle moans as he brought her to orgasm, waves crashing through her body. Then, she dropped to her knees, taking him in her mouth, the taste salty and masculine. His hands in her hair, guiding, until he came with a low growl. After, she fixed her makeup in the mirror, her reflection showing flushed cheeks. "This is madness," she thought. "But I can't stop." Home became a performance. John noticed her glow. "You look happy lately. Work going well?" "Yeah, projects are exciting," she lied, her heart twisting. Sarah's sister, Emily, visited from out of town. Over wine on the porch, the evening air cool and cricket-filled, Emily said, "You seem distracted. Everything okay with John?" "Perfect," Sarah replied, but Emily's knowing look lingered. Marcus opened up about his life, divorced, no kids, free-spirited. "You make me feel things I haven't in years," he confessed during a late-night call, his voice husky through the phone. Their first full encounter happened in a hotel downtown. The room was luxurious, with plush carpets and a king bed draped in white sheets. Champagne chilled in a bucket, its bubbles fizzing softly. Marcus undressed her slowly, kissing every inch revealed, her shoulders, breast, stomach. His tongue circled her nipples, sucking gently, then harder, drawing moans. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, his hands sliding between her legs, fingers entering her, curling to hit that spot that made her arch. She pushed him onto the bed, straddling him, guiding him inside. The sensation of him filling her was exquisite, their bodies moving in rhythm, sweat beading on skin. He flipped her, taking her from behind, hands on her hips, thrusting deep and hard. Her climaxes came in multiples, cries echoing in the room as he reached his own, collapsing together in a tangle of limbs. The afterglow was sweet, but reality intruded. John is waiting at home. John, meanwhile, felt the distance. He tried to bridge it with flowers, their petal scent filling the house, but Sarah's responses were mechanical. John found a mysterious text on her phone. "Can't wait to see you again." He said nothing, but doubt festered. Lisa, Sarah's best friend, confronted her over coffee, the cafe buzzing with chatter. "You're playing with fire. End it." I can't, Sarah admitted, tears welling. He makes me feel desired. John loves me, but Marcus is passion. Can I have both? No, illusions don't last. The affair continued, steamy and consuming. A park bench at dusk, his head between her legs under her skirt, tongue working magic as joggers passed unaware. The danger, the pleasure, addictive. John started tracking her subtly, his heart heavy. Summer's heat wave made Willow Creek swelter, mirroring the boiling tension in Sarah's life. Mornings were rushed, kisses with John quick, his cologne lingering as she left for work. Marcus and Sarah's meetings became bolder. A weekend conference was actually a cabin in the woods, where pine scents and bird calls surrounded them. They spent days naked, exploring each other. One night by the fireplace, flames crackling, Marcus tied her hands with a silk scarf, heightening sensations. His mouth trailed down her body, licking, nibbling, until he reached her core, tongue delving in, lapping with fervor. She writhed, begging, until release flooded her. Then, he entered her, slow thrusts building to frantic, her legs wrapped around him, nails raking his back. Positions shifted, from missionary to cowgirl, his hands squeezing her breasts, pinching nipples. They came together, bodies shuddering. But guilt grew. Dreams of John crying haunted her. John's suspicion peaked when he saw a hotel charge on the credit card. "What's this?" he asked calmly over dinner, the steak sizzling on the plate. "Work event," she lied, pulse racing. He hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Tom, who tailed her. John's mother, Helen, sensed trouble during a family barbecue, the smell of grilled burgers in the air. "You two okay?" she asked John. "I'm not sure," he confessed. Lisa, loyal to Sarah but worried, hinted to John, "Talk to her. I love John, but Marcus is passion. Can I have both?" No, illusions don't last. A twist, Marcus revealed he had a girlfriend, not divorced as claimed. "It's not serious," he said during a heated argument in his apartment, the city noise below. Sarah felt betrayed, but the hypocrisy stung. "How could you?" "Same as you," he shot back. They made up with rough sex, him pinning her against the wall, thrusting hard, her legs around his waist, cries of pleasure mixed with anger. John's PI reported back with photos, Sarah and Marcus kissing. John's world shattered, tears falling in his study, the room dark and silent. He planned confrontation. Fall leaves crunched underfoot like brittle bones as tensions rose in the once serene suburb of Willow Creek. The air carried the crisp, earthy scent of decay, mirroring the rotting core of Sarah and John's marriage. Sarah sensed John's coldness in every glance, every avoided touch. His hands, once warm and reassuring on her shoulder or waist, now hung limp at his sides, as if touching her would confirm the poison seeping through their bond. Mornings were silent rituals, coffee poured without words, the steam rising like unspoken accusations. Evenings stretched into awkward silences, the television's glow casting flickering shadows on walls that once echoed with laughter. Sarah's mind was a whirlwind of conflict. How did we get here? She wondered, replaying the years in her head. Their wedding day, under a canopy of blooming cherry blossoms, vows exchanged with tears of joy. The honeymoon in Paris, where they wandered hand in hand along the Seine, the water's gentle lapping a soundtrack to their passion. But time had eroded that foundation, turning excitement into routine, love into habit. John was still the same man, kind, dependable, with those blue eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. But the smiles were rarer now, replaced by furrowed brows and distant stares. Marcus, on the other hand, was relentless. His text came like waves crashing against her resolve. "Leave him. We can be together. Imagine a life without hiding." His voice on the phone was a seductive whisper, promising freedom and fire. One evening, as Sarah sat in her car after work, the dashboard lights illuminating her face, he called. "Sarah, baby, I can't stop thinking about us. About that night in the hotel, your skin against mine, the way you moaned my name. We deserve this." She gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. "Marcus, it's not that simple. John, he's my husband. We've built a life. But is it the life you want? He pressed, his tone shifting to urgency. Or are you just afraid of the unknown? Come over tonight. Let's talk about our future. Sarah wavered, her heart torn between the safety of familiarity and the allure of passion. I can't hurt him like that, she thought, picturing John's face crumpling like paper. Yet, the pull was magnetic. She drove to Marcus's apartment instead of home, the rain starting to patter against the windshield, blurring the streetlights into hazy orbs. That rainy night unfolded in Marcus's car, parked in a secluded lot on the outskirts of town, where overgrown trees shielded them from prying eyes. The storm raged outside, thunder rumbling like distant artillery, rain drumming a frantic rhythm on the roof. Inside, the windows fogged from their heated breaths, creating a steamy cocoon of secrecy. They stripped hurriedly, clothes discarded in a heap on the back seat, her blouse unbuttoned with trembling fingers, his shirt yanked over his head to reveal the chiseled chest she knew so well. Sarah straddled him in the driver's seat, her knees digging into the leather, his hands gripping her thighs with possessive strength. She lowered herself onto him, the sensation of him filling her sending shockwaves through her body. Her breasts bounced with each movement, nipples hardened by the cool air seeping through the cracks. Marcus's hands guided her hips, thumbs pressing into her skin, dictating a rhythm that built from slow grinds to urgent thrusts. The car rocked on its suspension, creaking in protest, as their moans filled the confined space, loud, unrestrained, mingling with the thunder claps outside. "Oh God, Marcus!" she gasped, her head thrown back, rain-streaked windows reflecting her flushed face. His mouth found her neck, teeth grazing the sensitive skin, sucking until marks bloomed like forbidden flowers. The climax built like the storm itself, tension coiling in her core until it exploded in waves of pleasure, her body shuddering against his. He followed soon after, groaning her name, his release hot and intense. They collapsed together, panting, the afterglow a brief sanctuary. But as the rain slowed to a drizzle, reality intruded. Sarah dressed quickly, the fabric clinging to her damp skin. "This has to stop," she murmured more to herself than him. Marcus cupped her face. "No, this is just the beginning." She left without another word, driving home through the slick streets, her mind a fog thicker than the windows had been. Home, the lights were on, casting a warm glow that felt mocking. John waited in the living room, his face etched with lines of worry and resolve. He sat on the couch, Bailey curled at his feet, the dog's ears perking up as Sarah entered. The air smelled of the lasagna he'd warmed, comfort food, an attempt at normalcy. "We need to talk," John said, his voice steady but laced with pain. He didn't rise to greet her, didn't offer a kiss. Sarah's heart stopped, a cold dread settling in her chest like ice. She dropped her bag by the door, the thud echoing. "About what?" she asked, though she knew. The photos, the damning evidence from the PI, must have arrived. He pulled an envelope from the coffee table, sliding out the glossy prints. There she was, in Marcus's arms, lips locked in a kiss outside a cafe. Another showed them entering a hotel, hands intertwined. "This," John said simply, his eyes meeting hers, betrayal burning in their depths. Sarah's legs buckled. She sank to the floor, sobs racking her body like convulsions. Tears streamed down her face, hot and unrelenting. "I'm sorry," she choked out between gasps. "I'm so sorry. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far." John's face twisted in pain, a mask of anguish. He knelt beside her, but didn't touch her. "How long?" His voice cracked, the architect of their life now crumbling. "Months," she whispered, the word hanging heavy in the air. "It started innocently, work stuff. But then..." The argument erupted like a volcano, yells echoing through the house, shaking the framed photos on the walls, their wedding portrait tilting slightly. Bailey whined in the corner, tail tucked, eyes darting between them. "I gave you everything!" John shouted, his face red, veins bulging in his neck. "The house, the life, my heart! How could you throw it away for some fling? You gave me stability, But no fire, Sarah countered, rising to her feet, her voice rising to match his. We stopped trying, John. It's been years of the same routine: dinner, TV, bed. No passion, no surprises. Marcus, he made me feel wanted again. John recoiled as if slapped. So that's it? I'm boring? Reliable but dull? He paced the room, hands raking through his hair. I worked my ass off for us. For our future. And you repay me by screwing around? Sarah's tears flowed freer. I know I messed up. I was weak. But we can fix this. Counseling time. Fix it? He bellowed, slamming his fist on the table, the sound like a gunshot. You destroyed us. Every memory tainted now. The fight dragged on for hours, cycling through rage, tears, and pleas. John stormed out finally, grabbing his keys, the door slamming behind him like a final punctuation. He drove to a nearby hotel, checking into a sterile room that smelled of bleach and loneliness. Lying on the stiff bed, staring at the ceiling, he replayed their life: first dates, the proposal on one knee in the park, the birth of their dreams. How do I move on? He thought, tears soaking the pillow. Back home, Sarah curled on the couch, Bailey nuzzling her side, his wet nose a small comfort. The house felt empty, echoes of their argument lingering like ghosts. The next day, Emily flew in from Seattle, her sisterly intuition kicking in after a frantic call. She arrived with a suitcase and hugs, her presence a bomb. They sat in the kitchen, tea steaming between them, the aroma of chamomile trying to soothe. You messed up, sis, Emily said gently, her hand on Sarah's. Big time. But you have to decide, fix it or let go. John's a good man, but if the love's gone? I don't know, Sarah admitted, voice raw from crying. I thought Marcus was the answer, but he's just escape. Lisa, ever the mediator, called John at the hotel. She knows she screwed up, Lisa said over the phone, her tone neutral. John deserves the truth, but maybe give her a chance to explain fully. For old time's sake. John sighed, rubbing his temples. I don't know if I can look at her without seeing those photos. Marcus called Sarah repeatedly, his voicemails pleading. Don't shut me out. We can make this work. But she ignored them, realizing his selfishness, the way he pursued without regard for the wreckage. He never cared about my marriage, only his desires, she thought, deleting his number. John met with a lawyer the following week, a sharp-suited woman in a downtown office smelling of coffee and leather-bound books. Papers were drawn for divorce, the words, irreconcilable differences, staring back like accusations. We can make it amicable, the lawyer said. But nothing felt amicable. Internal turmoil plagued Sarah, *, the perfect marriage was my cage. But freedom hurts more than I imagined. * flashbacks haunted her, John's proposal, the ring slipping on her finger with promises of forever. Now, it all felt like lies. They tried a therapy session, the room soft-lit and smelling of essential oils, lavender and eucalyptus, meant to calm. The therapist, a calm woman with wire-rimmed glasses, guided them. John, what do you feel? She asked. I still love you, John said, his voice breaking, eyes locked on Sarah's. But the trust, it's shattered. But can you forgive? Sarah asked, her hand reaching for his, trembling. He pulled away. I don't know. Every time I close my eyes I see you with him. The session ended in tears, no resolution. Then came the twist. Marcus's girlfriend, a fiery woman named Rachel, confronted Sarah at work. She burst into the lobby, heels clicking like gunshots, screaming. Stay away from him! You homewrecker! Heads turned, whispers buzzed like bees. Security escorted her out, but the damage was done. Office gossip spread like wildfire, colleagues shooting sidelong glances, rumors flying in break rooms. Chaos ensued, Sarah's professional life tainted. She called in sick the next day, hiding under covers, the weight of consequences crushing. Finally, Sarah ended it with Marcus for good. He showed up at her door, rain-soaked, pleading. We can run away. Start fresh. No, she said firmly, door half closed. It's over. You were never real, just an illusion. His pleas fell on deaf ears as she shut the door, the click final. Weeks turned to months. John moved out, the house sold. Sarah found a small apartment, Bailey her only companion. Therapy continued alone, reflections on choices made. And so, the illusion of the perfect marriage crumbled, revealing the raw truth beneath. Betrayal cuts deep, slicing through flesh and soul, leaving scars that ache in quiet moments. But from the ashes of destruction, we learn to build anew, stronger foundations, wiser hearts. Thank you for listening to this chapter of The Perfect Marriage Illusion. If this story resonated, like and subscribe for more tales of love's dark underbelly. Until next time, remember, looks can deceive, and the heart's secrets are often the deadliest.